Present day, outside the diner, right after I see Caleb, the sun has set behind the city landscape. The air is warm, concrete still radiating some of the heat it has accumulated from being in the sun all day. It probably isn't, but my surroundings suddenly feel scorching and stiffening under my terror and shame. Terror at seeing Caleb so close, looking like he's inches away from walking over to us to drag me away from Lucien's side, but shame at being pulled by his presence despite it all, beckoned by the familiarity of his gaze. Contradictory impulses pull at me from different sides. I feel torn and unable to make a decision. Looking at Caleb is like watching death straight in the eyes. Oh God. And Finn is still inside the diner. He'd see Caleb should he come closer. How long would it take for him to figure out we're still bonded? How long till I'm then kicked out of my Pack 8 arable prospect, though still better than its alternative Lille are coming to my rescue and getting killed in the process? What am I going to get rid of him? Maybe if we hurry inside his car, Lucien can drive us out of there fast enough. Oh no, Lucien suddenly sighs, making me jump as he spots Caleb. I feel silly for thinking this almost immediately. He doesn't know Caleb. Even if he did see him, Lucien wouldn't think anything of it. What is it? I forgot my wallet inside the diner, Lucien says, making a show out of searching his empty pockets. My gaze travels back to Caleb, who looks seconds away from heading over. The stress is going to eat me alive. I adore this wallet, Lucien groans dramatically. It's one of a kind. My gaze snaps back to him. I can't believe I just left it there, Lucien insists. In the diner, probably right next to your friend Finn, was it? Who really doesn't like me. How will I ever get it back? Shall I go and get it for you? I ask, slightly disbelieving. Would you? Lucien gives me a bright smile. That would be great. I nod, feeling dazed and incapable of phrasing a coherent protest when Caleb is right there. He could come over at any given moment. Is this how I die? Is he going to kill me here? I thought I'd get to laugh with Leela one last time, maybe receive one of those paternal talks from Ethan, and also at least get one kiss from What Am I Thinking? I head inside the diner, hoping with all my heart that Caleb doesn't follow me inside where Finn can see him. I find Finn still in our booth, looking at his phone. He hands me Lucien's wallet, which he must have found after we've gone. I considered nicking it, Finn declares. Fair, I reply. I go back outside feeling like I'm heading to my execution. It's the most uncomfortable walk of my life. I feel like death is breathing down my shoulder. My wallet! Lucien exclaims, grabbing onto his leather good with childlike glee. I barely acknowledge him, frozen in shock. Across the street by the lamppost, Caleb is. Did you see her? I lick my lips nervously, glancing around. Caleb is gone. See what? Lucien asks, getting into his car. I look back inside the diner and screen the area one last time, but there's no sign of Caleb. Never mind, I reply, feeling a mix of relief and unease. I can't explain it. It's not like Caleb to give up on a confrontation, so why did he just now? Could it mean he's planning something? The morning after I met Lucien, I open my eyes blearily to a lavish, cream-colored bedroom I don't recognize immediately. The sun is filtering softly through the curtains, and the ceiling I'm looking at is adorned with intricate golden moldings. My gaze trails confusingly, then a pleasant, fresh scent fills my nose, making me smile softly. Morning, Whiffy. A startled yelp escapes my lips, and I jump into a seated position, staring in shock as I realize Lucien is lying beside me on my bed, fully dressed and propped up by a couple of pillows. He's staring at me with a sarcastic smirk, arms crossed. What are you doing here? I exclaim, briefly worrying something may have happened before I take in that we're both dressed and that being unlikely he'd ever be interested. Of course, nothing happened. Testing your reflexes, which suck, by the way. Lucien wiggles his eyebrows. I've been here a good hour, and you haven't even stirred. I was tired, I explain lamely. I try to cover my upper body with a pillow, making Lucien roll his eyes. Well, I don't know how you're planning to keep me alive in your condition, he says, staring at his nails. Looks to me like you need a vacation. Or am I the vacation? He says this lightly, but I can tell he's gathering information. I'm sure I don't look it, but I can protect you, I assure him, surprised at how resolute I feel on the matter. I didn't really come here because I wanted to look after him after all. My goal was to escape Caleb, but it occurs to me that since meeting him, I've been growing more determined to take my job seriously. His grandfather entrusted me with Lucien's security, and no one has entrusted me with anything in years if ever. I don't want to disappoint Victor Draven. Look, Lucien, I say lightly, you don't have to do this, all right? And before I can protest, he adds, whatever made you desperate enough to accept my grandfather's offer, I'll help you deal with, and then you can be on your merry way. His gaze is surprisingly kind, and he sounds sincere. I'm speechless. Is this guy I just met really offering to help me? He's a vampire and pretty much royalty amongst his kind. Doesn't he have anything better to do? What's his game here? Come on, Lucien jokes, opening his arms to me. Tell Uncle Lucien what's wrong. My lips twitch involuntarily. Was that an almost smile? Lucien asks, pointing to my lips. Wow, didn't think you had it in you. You seem to live in a perpetual state of anguish. No, I'm not, I protest, embarrassed at being so obvious to someone who doesn't seem the type to read people. This means I must be an open book if Lucien Blackwood can read me with so much ease. You're like a rabbit caught in the headlight. What are you going to do when the car comes crashing down on me, huh? Stare? I purse my lips. He's not trying to be kind. He's just hoping to get rid of me because he doesn't think I can help, and I can't blame him for having a sense of self-preservation. Someone's out to kill him. He probably doesn't feel safe despite all the carefree bravado. I swear on my life that I will keep you safe, I tell him, taking his hand in mine and giving it a reassuring squeeze. He freezes, eyes wide. Lucien. I think I just broke him. Why is he looking at me like that? Is something wrong with my face? He looks shocked isn't the right word, touched maybe, but by what? Certainly not by what I said. He should be used to people serving him, shouldn't he? I'm about to say something else. But then, Lucien moves away so abruptly, you'd think he'd just been burned, getting up from the bed in one swift movement. It's your funeral. I guess, he sighs, sending me a brief glance over his shoulder. But remember, my offer still stands. You don't have to be here. I can make your problems go away, Selene. You only have to ask. I don't have any problems, I tell him, suddenly finding the lie to come much more difficult for me. In fact, I don't think it's ever been this hard to lie. Why is that? I don't know this man. There's no reason I should trust him, no matter how attractive he is. In fact, him being so attractive should probably make me wary. Vampires lure in their prey with their looks. I know that. Could Lucien Blackwood be trying to make me his prey? He leaves the room, and the next time I see him, he acts like this entire conversation never happened. Present day. I'm expecting Lucien to drive us straight back home to the Blackwood residence after we leave the diner, but instead, he leaves the city, driving us through the nearby woods onto a coastal road towards the north. I'm not sure where we're going, but it looks like we'll be late for dinner with his grandfather, an event during which we'll also be treated to the pleasure of Lucien's mother. Draven wants to ensure she doesn't try to sabotage Lucien's fake engagement somehow, so the idea is to use the opportunity for her to get to know me or, to be more specific, to approve of me. Forget it. She'll never approve of you, Lucien says. She hates everything I like. Ah, so you do like me, I smile, oddly pleased. I'm sure he likes me like one dozen old, familiar pair of slippers, but still, it feels rather nice to hear. Lucien gives me a sideways glance. It's a rather warm glance, and it leaves me blushing. I'm expecting a sarcastic comment or a flirtatious joke to follow, but surprisingly, Lucien remains silent for a while. Have you started reading the book I recommended? He asks after a while. I have, I reply enthusiastically. I don't know if I like it though. I have a feeling the hero is going to die in the end. Lucien grins, though it's not a very happy grin. Well, then, hopefully, it won't stick, he replies. His car stops in front of a closed iron gate that seems to guard a large property, literally lost in the middle of nowhere. Lucien rings a doorbell, announces his presence through the intercom, and then drives his car up a long, uphill alley towards a large house I can discern through the darkness in the trees. This looks like a mansion from a horror movie, I comment, though without any unease. My wolf likes how large the grounds are here, away from the city, surrounded by woods and the sea nearby. Wait for me in the car, Lucien requests. I won't be long. I frown. No, I'm coming with you. I can't leave you alone, Lucien. This house belongs to me. Everyone inside of it works for me. I'll be fine. I'll be back in 10 minutes. I nod begrudgingly, watching him turn and be greeted out the door by two men in uniform who incline their heads upon seeing him, and then disappear inside the mansion. I wiggle nervously in my seat. I don't like this. I'm supposed to be looking after him. It's weird that he wants to go in there alone. He must be up to something. The question is, would this something put him in danger? I exit the car and begin walking around the house, trying to get a glimpse of Lucien inside. There's quite a few empty, grandiosely decorated, though poorly lit rooms, sometimes a staff member or two, but no sign of him. I concentrate on trying to hear the sound of his voice from where I am. "We'll get you out tonight," his voice says from somewhere upstairs. I look up to the upper floor of the house. There's a balcony I can jump on too. Then, I'll climb up the walls. I reach the second level of the house with surprising ease. I may be a wolf, but I'm not usually very agile. I crouch by the windowpane to peek inside. Lucien is standing in a sumptuous bedroom with a young woman whose face I cannot see, her back facing me. However, I notice she's wearing an elegant, albeit particularly short, red silk robe. "I'm so tired of staying here," she's complaining. "When are we going to be able to leave, Lucien?" "Soon." Lucien gives her a tight smile before pulling her into his arms, holding onto her with surprising tenderness. "I'm working on it, I promise." My foot slips, making Lucien's gaze snap up towards the window, and I'm forced to jump away, feeling embarrassed for having witnessed what was probably a private moment not meant for me to intrude on. I hurry back to the car as discreetly and hurriedly as I can, heart pounding. Who was this girl Lucien was with? A girlfriend? But then, why hadn't he mentioned her? Is he hiding her in this house? She said she wanted to leave. He said he'd make it happen. When will that be? And most importantly, why does my throat feel so tight? Lucien and I aren't really together. I know that. This is so stupid. I'm such an idiot. My mind reeling. I wait until Lucien returns, having completely given up on the idea of tailing him more closely, assuming he'd been right when he'd said he'd be safe inside the house. My wolf feels tense, but I ignore it stubbornly. This turns out to be a big mistake. After another good 10 minutes, Lucien finally emerges from the house, looking distractedly at his phone. I watch him, trying to read his face for information on who the girl he'd been seeing was to him, exactly. This is ridiculous because it's not like his features are going to give me an answer. I'm so distracted that I don't notice the two men abruptly coming out of the trees when they seize Lucien's arms, one of them injecting him with a syringe I'm sure can't contain anything good. It takes me much too long to jump out of the car and sprint towards them. They've already thrown Lucien into a vehicle that had been hidden amongst the trees, and I watch, helpless, as they drive away right before my eyes. Present day. Panic surges through me, sharp and urgent, as the tires of Lucien's captors squeal against the damp asphalt, speeding away. I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe my charge just got captured right before my eyes. Then again, of course I can. This is me messing up again, like I always do. I'm such an incapable piece of useless scum. I had one job to do: follow Lucien around, and I let my stupid feelings get in the way, like the total failure I am. I take a breath, shoving my emotions back down. Now is not the time to indulge in self-pity. Ethan used to tell me that in a moment of crisis, the most important thing is to keep calm. I let my wolf's predator instincts take over. I need to track, not to feel. I dash back to the car, my hands shaking as I fumble with the keys, jamming the ignition. The engine roars to life, and I peel out of my parking spot as I follow the dwindling taillights speeding through the woods back towards the city. Waves of guilt and self-doubt assail me, but I don't let myself get pulled under. Don't think, just act. I keep repeating to myself. The last time I'd done that, I'd hurt Mira in the process, and I've hated myself for it ever since. But, as my wolf reminds me, I'd succeeded at protecting Finn that day too, and I have to protect Lucien, no matter who gets hurt while I do. My chase leads me downtown, the captor's car turning sharply into a side street before disappearing behind a nondescript building. It houses a club known for its exclusivity and a frequent haunt for the city's vampire elite. My pulse hammers in my ears as I park in a nearby alley, steeling myself for what's to come. I find the car I'd been trailing easily, currently being parked by a valet who sends me a suspicious glare as I approach. I don't recognize him as one of the kidnappers from earlier. Did they just give him the car to park then? Hopefully. That means they went inside the establishment with Lucien. Isn't a club popular amongst vampires a suspicious place to take someone as renowned as Lucien though? Surely there's a higher chance of somebody recognizing him here than in, I don't know, a secret hideout. This doesn't make sense. Something's off, damn it, but it's my only lead. I have to get into that place and make sure Lucien isn't inside. The club is built below a dimly lit bar lounge in which vampires are having drinks, most certainly composed of one single ingredient. The entrance is guarded by a hostess who welcomes me with a cold, suspicious smile. "You have a reservation, miss?" she asks, politely nonetheless. "No, please. I have to get inside. We don't let customers in without a reservation," the hostess explains, waving me out firmly. I quickly calculate my next course of action. Should I punch my way inside? That wouldn't be the most discreet way to reach Lucien's side, but how do I get in then? "I'm with the Blackwoods," I suddenly declare, hoping this will work. This is clearly a vampire-owned establishment, and I remember Victor mentioning in passing that their name would be enough to get me into any vampire scene. So perhaps. The hostess gives me a bright smile. "Why didn't you say so earlier?" "Please, come inside," she says, moving aside to let me in. Not believing my luck, I enter the bar, scanning the crowd for Lucien with no luck. What if I didn't trail the right car? What if getting inside this place's parking lot was a decoy? What if don't think, I tell myself firmly. I spot an elegant man in his early 40s, or one that looks like he's in his 40s, while he may very well be much older, for he's a vampire walking towards me. "Welcome," he tells me with a polite incline of the head. "Please, make yourself at home. I'm Vincent Moretti, and I own this establishment. Any friend of the Blackwoods is a friend of mine." I search his expression for any sign of deceit, but he's not showing any. Either he doesn't know Lucien is here, or this man is a very good liar. I try not to dwell too much on option 3, the one in which Lucien isn't here. "I'm looking for a Blackwood, actually," I tell Moretti cautiously. "Lucien Blackwood. Have you seen him?" "Lucien? Victor's adored grandson and heir." He shakes his head. "Not tonight. Trust me, I know if he was here. It wouldn't do me good to ignore a client like that." Again, he sounds sincere. I decide to take a shot. "Well, mind if I head downstairs to check?" I ask. "We were supposed to meet up here tonight, but I don't see him." Moretti nods, leading me personally towards an elevator in the back. It's almost too easy, and something feels off, but it's not like I have a choice. I need to search this place for Lucien. The club is throbbing with life, bass vibrating through the soles of my shoes as I arrive, the air thick with a mix of expensive perfumes and the undercurrent of decay that always accompanies vampire haunts. Neon lights cast long sinuous shadows against the polished concrete floors and exposed brick walls. The bar, a long slab of polished obsidian, reflects the strobe lights, bathing the dancers in an otherworldly glow. I scan the room, my werewolf senses cutting through the haze of alcohol and sweat, seeking out the scent of my charge. There he's in a dimly lit booth, surrounded by a small entourage of vampires, looking suspiciously relaxed, a vacant smile on his lips. "Well, as you can see, he isn't here," Vincent Moretti tells me with an impassive expression, "though, if you'd like to stay and enjoy yourself, you can." "What do you mean he's not here?" I protest, pointing to Lucien Blackwood. "He's right there." Moretti frowns, taking a look towards the booth where I see Lucien being served a drink. "Where?" he asks, sounding genuinely confused. I briefly glance back at him and wonder if he's sincerely blind or just a very adept gaslighter. "Whatever," I mutter, walking away. I make my way over to Lucien, not nearly as quickly as I'd like, having to push through a small crowd of dancers, some human, but mostly vampires. "Lucien!" I exclaim when I finally reach his booth, trying to attract his attention. He slowly blinks at me before giving me a happy grin. "Oh, hey, Selene." By his side is a thin blonde wearing a flattering silver dress, who's sending me a bored look while rubbing at Lucien's shoulder. I glare at her, but my efforts are interrupted when a male vampire, dressed in a slick dark suit, steps in, blocking my view. "Get lost, kid," he threatens, grabbing my arm. I shake him off. "Let Lucien go," I snap, squaring my shoulders. The vampire isn't very impressed. "I wasn't asking," he tells me, stepping closer towards me to force me away. Behind us, Lucien attempts to stand up from his seat, but another vampire quickly shoves him back down without much effort. The girl in the silver dress takes that as an opportunity to sit on his lap, making him smile. I grind my teeth. "I said, get out!" I grab the vampire's face and headbutt him in the nose before swiftly turning to kick another, one coming at me from behind in the stomach. "Lucien, get up! Come on!" I shout, stretching my hand to him. He smiles peacefully at me, though he remains where he is. I sigh internally as a pair of arms wrap around my shoulders, trying to immobilize me. Enough of you, a new vampire seeds against my ear. I kick the back of my boot into his groin, punching his face from behind, and am set free just in time to dodge a new hit. Another attacker is coming at me, but I grab his wrist to spin him into the ground. But then, a blow to my back flares some pain. I spin, throwing my elbow. It hits a jaw, a sharp snap echoing. Mira Wolf's face flashes in my mind, her eyes wide with fear. I push the memory down hard. No time, no guilt, not now. Another vampire lunges at me. I sidestep, palm slamming into his chest. He hits the wall, the thud drowned by the bass of the music. They keep coming out of nowhere. I sweep a leg as a fist grazes my cheek. I retaliate with an uppercut, feeling the impact up my arm. Blood, fangs, a flash of silver. I twist away, feeling the rush of air as fangs miss my neck. A heavy hit to my ribs has me gasping, pain sharp. Another vampire strikes down, his grin vicious. I roll, narrowly avoiding his grasp. In the corner of my eyes I notice the girl from earlier, still seated on Lucien's lap, slipping something into the pocket of his jacket before moving away. Distracted, I don't move quickly enough to a suspicious clicking sound, and the next thing I know, someone's fired a gun. I dodge behind the bar as screams echo around me, and people start to flee the scene in a panicked wave. I can't see who took the shot, but Lucien's still sitting in his seat, holding his head like he's in pain. I jump out of my hiding place and run towards him against a sea of fleeing dancers. But just as I'm about to reach him, I feel hard metal against the back of my head and freeze. There's a gun aimed right at me. I've had just about enough of you, a vampire says, finger ready to pull the trigger. My eyes meet Lucien's, his going wide with shock. Stop, he says. My eyes are closed, and I'm expecting death to claim me at any given second. But a second passes, and another. This is when I realize everyone has stopped screaming and moving. The only noise I can hear is the music still blasting around the club. My next reflex is to want to open my eyes and see what's happening, but I'm incapable of doing so. I can't open my eyes. In fact, I can't seem to move at all. Oh, sorry, I hear Lucien laugh. You're free, Selene. My eyes snap open, and I swiftly move away from the attacker without meeting any resistance whatsoever. He seems frozen in place, face blank, gun still pointed to the empty space I'd been occupying mere seconds ago. Shocked, I move to wave a hand in front of his eyes, and getting no reaction, remove the gun from his hands. Then I take a glance around the club, and everything and everyone is still around me, as if time has stopped, somehow. People are still in running positions, others clenching behind furniture, but no one is moving. All right, let's get out of here, Lucien says, rising unsteadily from his seat. Seeing him sway on his feet, I rush to his side to grab his arm and place it around my shoulder before fully reacting to the eerie scene unfolding before my eyes. They're all completely still, I comment, feeling dumb as I drag Lucien through the statuesque crowd. Even their expressions are frozen, mouths opened in silent screams. Lucien's eggs against me, and I put more strength into holding him up. Are you okay? I ask him, concerned at seeing him wince in pain. My head hurts, he replies, sounding confused. We head towards the elevator I took to get down here. Beside it, Vincent Moretti is standing still, expression shocked and confused. He was acting strange earlier, I tell Lucien, like he couldn't even see you. I frown, taking another look at the frozen crowd, and it hits me. Did you do this? I gasp, gaze switching back towards Lucien. Looks like it, Lucien replies unfazed. This is insane. An entire crowd of people is frozen in place because he uttered one simple word. My mind is reeling, but I protest. There are thousands of people down here. I didn't even feel Lucien's compulsion when it hit. Unlike when his grandfather had used his powers on me, it felt natural to remain still, eyes closed. I gulp nervously. I did know vampires were more or less skilled in the art of compulsion, but I never suspected one vampire alone could affect so many people at once, and for so long. It's likely been almost 5 minutes already. You can move again in 15 minutes, Lucien says to no one in particular as we step into the elevator. You won't remember anything out of the ordinary happening. He looks serious, though pale, as he mutters the words. Lucien, I tell him, mind working hard at processing all that is happening. Do you mean to tell me you could have just asked these people to release you at any time? Lucien sends me a sheepish look that is all the answer I need. I'm about to yell at him, but then we exit the elevator, and my words fall short. Upstairs in the bar, everyone is frozen in place too. Glasses are raised to people's lips, empty as drinks have dripped onto shirts and dresses without anyone noticing. Waiters are in the process of serving, clients are in the middle of conversations, but the room is still and silent, everyone having been interrupted in the middle of their evening. Oh my God, I whisper, stunned and slightly afraid. I throw another nervous glance at Lucien. I'm certain no werewolf ever suspected a vampire could have so much power. This is a total game-minus changer, and frankly, terrifying. I should warn my pack about this. Why are you looking at me like that? Lucien asks, giving me a wounded look. I don't like it. He looks upset. My wolf tenses at the sight, though I'm not sure if it's because it thinks Lucien poses a threat, or because it doesn't like seeing him upset. I guess probably a bit of both. Are you afraid of me? Lucien asks, tone accusing, like I betrayed him somehow. My mind has trouble coming up with a decent response here, still reeling from all the implications of my discovery what Lucien's powers mean for us wolves, what it means for the vampires, the humans. I would never use my powers on you, Lucien's eyes, head rolling against my shoulder. His eyes have fallen shut, and he looks unwell, which is the only reason why I continue dragging him along outside the bar and onto the city street, instead of doing the smart thing. The smart thing being running far away from him. But you did before, I reply nervously. I couldn't move or open my eyes. I would never use my powers on you on purpose, Lucien rectifies, sounding sincerely hurt that I thought he might. I help him climb inside the car, frowning at the blood still dripping from his nose. I don't really like using them, Lucien confesses, sagging against his seat. I didn't know I could do that. I search his expression, but it's hard to read with his features being contorted in pain. What's wrong? I ask, my worry shifting as I take in the pained groans he's emitting. You have that look in your eyes, Lucien whispers, eyes searching my face. What look? Like you're afraid of me, he sighs, closing his eyes. My heart skips a beat. A second ago, I was afraid of him, but now I'm beginning to feel afraid for him instead, especially when he starts coughing more blood in alarming quantities. Lucien? I shake his shoulder, trying to get him to open his eyes. Did they poison you again? I goof internally at the sheer stupidity of my question. Obviously they did. He's sick. We need to get you some blood, I say, looking around like the gesture is somehow going to conjure some for us out of nowhere. But the streets are nearly empty, save for a couple of unsuspecting passers-by, who I can't just ask nicely for blood. Not without freaking them out or at least attracting unwanted curiosity. Please, tell me you keep some emergency blood bags in the car, I ask Lucien, looking under my seat in the vain hope of finding one there. Lucien grunts something inaudible in response before coughing again. My heart begins to pound against my chest. I should have thought of that. I'm the one who's supposed to protect him. Victor Draven even told me that in case Lucien was poisoned again. It's not your fault, Selene, Lucien says weakly, reaching for my hand. I'll see you soon. He clenches my fingers inside of his and gives me a reassuring smile. I think you're dying, I tell him, feeling like my heart is about to explode out of my chest. Lucien's gaze meets mine once more. His is peaceful and serene without any trace of sorrow or fear. It's fine, he tells me in a tone one would use to pass up food or a drink. He means it too. It's like he doesn't care at all that he's about to, and then he begins to convulse. And I feel like my heart has stopped beating altogether. Here? I tell him, snapping my wrist to his lips. Drink from me. Come on, Lucy, and doesn't react, having fallen unconscious. He's dying. He's going to die. Oh my God. I bite into my own skin as hard as I can, ignoring the pain as flesh tears and blood begins to leak down my arm. I bring my wrist back to Lucien's mouth, holding his head upright with the other. Come on, I beg him, trying to shake him awake. Come on, Lucien, please. For too long, nothing happens, and I'm certain I've lost him, until his eyes snap open, meeting mine. There's no kindness or peaceful resolve left in them, just pure, unadulterated hunger. And then grabbing me with bone-minus crushing force that tears a small scream from my lips. He sinks his teeth into my arm. 6 years ago, the day of the accident. Ethan Gray lunges forward, his movements a blur. I dodge to the left, barely avoiding his outstretched hand, and spin around to face him again. We move like this for several minutes, Ethan putting me through my paces. You're getting faster, Ethan comments, blocking a swipe I make towards his side. His approval sends a wave of pride through me. And stronger, he adds, parrying another attack with ease, but noting my improved strength. I grin, feeling a rush of adrenaline. I'm glad I get to practice with him today. Just like before, he's been busy lately, traveling more and more abroad for his university studies. I can tell it makes him happy, being independent from our pack, and so I'm glad our alpha has allowed it, but I do miss him. Not only because I always make better progress when I train with him, but also because I have no one to confide in without Ethan. I mean, that's not entirely true. I have my mate now, but it's not the same. I want to impress Caleb Wolf and make him proud, so I can't share my shortcomings with him. With a sudden burst of energy, I feint left and then strike right, catching Ethan off guard. My palm connects with his chest, sending him staggering back a few steps. Well done, Selene, he exclaims, his grey eyes lighting up with genuine surprise and delight. You're getting better at this. I beam, panting slightly from the exertion. All thanks to you, I reply earnestly. Without your help, I'd never have been strong enough to deserve a wolf like Caleb for a mate. Ethan's expression shifts subtly, his smile fading into a frown for a second. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. He approaches, placing a firm hand on my shoulder. Caleb should love you for who you are, not for how strong you become. I hesitate, searching Ethan's handsome face. The first time I'd heard another member of our pack fawning over him had been very weird for me, who sees him as an older brother, but from a purely objective point of view, I guess he is a very good looking man, though a little too rugged looking for my taste. Good looking, talented, and powerful, our alpha's favored pack member, along with Finn Rider. So what does he know about proving himself? He doesn't need to. Everyone already looks up to him, and for good reason. I want him to be proud of me, I finally mutter, feeling a mix of frustration and embarrassment. He mated with me despite who I am. I owe him so much. Ethan's eyes widen slightly, then he purses his lips, and I can tell he's considering his next words carefully. I would rather hope that he mated with you because he loves you, he says, schooling his features into a neutral expression. But sometimes, Selene, when you speak of him, you make it sound as if. I thought you liked Caleb, I interrupt, feeling hurt and averting his gaze. Why are you saying these things? I'm lucky to have found my fated mate. I hear Ethan release a small sigh. If he makes you happy, then it's all that matters, he ends up replying, placing a comforting hand on my shoulder. I nod slowly, catching my breath in the meantime. Around us, the clearing is bathed in the golden light of the noon sun, diappling through the tall pines that surround us. The air is fresh with the scent of earth and pine needles, invigorating my senses. You're still coming with us to visit Caleb's old pack today, right? I ask Ethan as we head back home for a shower before joining our pack. After mating with me, Caleb was part of a smaller, yet influential pack settled a couple hours doctor from our own. His family, namely his older sister, Mira Wolf, still lives there. Yeah, Rowan would like me to meet with their new alpha, so I'll be tagging along. I consider Ethan's words carefully. I find it strange that Rowan, our alpha, has asked Ethan to meet with Asher Kane instead of Finn. Asher has just become the new alpha of Caleb's old pack, and he's about Ethan's age, so I can see why Rowan would send him to strengthen our relations, probably assuming they'll get along. However, Finn is also the same age, and he's the one who'll be replacing Rowan as alpha soon, not Ethan, to my regret. I have to say, I think Ethan would make a great alpha. I tell him so, making him laugh. Finn is much better suited for the job, he replies humbly. Besides, I've been asked by my university professor to accompany him on his next dig in South America. We split up once we arrive back home, and I hurry to my room to shower and change, picking my outfit for the day carefully. I hesitate between a light pink dress I know Caleb likes, but which he'll probably perceive as too revealing to meet his family, and a more modest black dress that should be more suitable, though perhaps less flattering. I decide on the black, not wanting to embarrass Caleb by wearing something too daring. Plus, he says he loves me in black. Once back down, I notice Ethan waiting for me next to his car, though while Caleb isn't there yet, Finn is, speaking to Ethan. Conspiring, Selene. He greets me as I arrive, flashing me one of his dazzling smiles. I'm hoping I'm not blushing too much, though judging by Ethan's amused expression I probably am. Thank God Caleb hasn't yet arrived to see this. He'd be offended. I'll be coming with you instead of Ethan, Finn announces, slapping the latter on the back. You don't mind having me, do you? Of course not, I reply, hoping Caleb won't mind either. He says he finds Finn obnoxious and irritating. Great. Finn wraps an arm around my shoulder. Say, Selene doesn't mind me, he adds to Ethan. The latter rolls his eyes. I never said she'd mind, but your father asked me. Who cares? We switch places all the time. Say, Selene, what do you think about Asher, Mr. Big Shot New Alpha? Asher? I ask nervously. I can tell tension lies underneath Finn's light tone, though I don't understand why. He smells angry and territorial. Has Asher offended him somehow? Caleb says he's pretty inexperienced. Inexperienced? Finn exclaims with a content nod. That's what I thought. Explains quite a lot, actually. I breathe out a sigh of relief. Good, this was the right answer. Next to me, Ethan's pursing his lips, looking suddenly almost just as tense as his cousin. Finn, he tells him warningly as he watches us climb into the car with a wary glance. What happened? Nothing. Poor guy doesn't know any better, so I'm just going to politely remind him of some basic rules of conduct. Finn replies with a wide smile that doesn't seem friendly whatsoever. If anything, his scent only betrays more anger. Basic rules? I ask, sending Ethan a questioning glance. Is this about Ela? The latter guesses in the fed minor subtone of someone who's been through this before, which he has, probably because Ela and Finn have been pretty much engaged for as long as I can remember. They've been butting heads for even far longer than that, and Ethan's usually right in the middle of it, trying to keep peace, being best friends with the both of them. Nope. Finn snaps, slamming the door of the car behind him. She has nothing to do with it. Ethan winces in a way that makes it clear he doesn't believe a word of it. I'm coming too, he declares with a frown. I don't think you should, Finn. Let me deal with this. Finn grinds through his teeth, suddenly sounding much more menacing. It'll be me handling all this shit soon anyway. I might as well get started now. Ethan sighs but ends up agreeing with a small frown. His tense expression disappears behind the horizon as our car drives off. In the following years, I'll often think back on this moment, wondering how things would have turned out if he'd gone with us that day. Probably very different. Ethan always fixes everything. If he'd tagged along, Finn would have become our alpha, and he'd be mated with Ela now. Caleb and I would still be happy and part of the pack, and Mira's life wouldn't have been ruined by me. Present day. The feel of Lucien's teeth piercing my skin is slightly uncomfortable, though not nearly as much as I'd expected. Then discomfort ebbs away, only the sensation of Lucien's lips on me remaining, and the light touches of his body against mine. He's still holding on to me, but feeling no resistance or inclination from me to move, he slowly relaxes his hold. I'm left wondering why I'd always been warned against a vampire's bite. It really isn't so bad, and if letting him drink from me helps him recover, then I'm glad I let Lucien do it. But then, it begins. First, there's warmth inside my wrist, soft and pleasant, that grows languidly up my entire arm. It's a tingling sensation that's barely noticeable until it spreads to my chest and stomach, becoming more pressing to the point of scorching. I wiggle in my seat, my skin feeling too tight around me, like it does before I turn in my wolf form, though I realize with a gulp, perhaps even more pressing than that. The strange thought that I wish Lucien would suck on me harder crosses my mind, and I instinctively wrap my fingers around his hair, pushing him on. I close my eyes as he adds more pressure, giving into the sensation, the sound of my heartbeat loud in my ears. The warmth spreads and spreads all the more, intensifying with each pull of his lips. It seeps through my veins, increasingly enjoyable, sweet and thick, leaving me panting. The world around me dims, my focus narrowing to the point of contact between us, where his mouth meets my skin. I'm aware of every detail, the coolness of his skin against my fevered flesh, the soft eyes escaping his lips, the growing strength in his grip on my arm. It feels so good. Why does it feel like this? A very loud, very telling moan escapes my lips, and Lucien abruptly pulls away. Are you okay? He asks, looking worried. Does it hurt? I feel a little dizzy and slightly embarrassed, but mostly ridiculously aroused, though not the slightest bit pained. No, I reply, distracted by the blood on Lucien's lips. His eyes are dark, pupils so blown there's barely any blue left. There's a slight blush to his cheeks that reminds me of how he looked after drinking from Clara Vane. The thought stirs my wolf's anger, and I hesitate only the briefest moment before putting my hands on his shoulders and pulling him towards me. Selene, Lucien asks. Oh, what are you? My lips crash onto his, my wolf rejoicing at tasting the blood on them. Lucien is frozen against me for a moment. There's a hesitance in his touch, his fingers softly grazing my back, as if he's testing the reality of the moment. But then, something shifts. The hesitation melts away as the kiss deepens, turning urgent, fueled by the pent-up emotions of everything we've just endured. Soon, Lucien is pulling me onto his lap, his lips moving against mine with a fervency that matches the rapid beating of my heart, telling me of his hunger not for blood, but for whatever strange connection is blossoming unexpectedly between us. But then, as abruptly as it started, Lucien pulls away. We can't, he says, sounding pained. He moves even further, somewhat reluctantly, under my confused gaze. What does he mean, we can't? I don't understand. My head is spinning, a sweet haze clouding my thoughts. I try to hold on to him, but he swiftly changes our position so he's sitting in the driver's seat. The distance between our bodies feels unbearable. I groan in protest, trying to hold on to him to no avail. I'm going to drive us home, okay? Lucien tells me in a kind, patient voice while quickly fastening my seatbelt for me. Why is he acting like this? Does he not feel what I feel? Does he not want me? My Selene, Lucien murmurs softly, caressing my cheek. His eyes look sad and torn. I'm sorry. This must be confusing. A pathetic whine escapes my lips. He feels so far away. You'll feel better soon, I promise, he tells me, starting the engine. I close my eyes, feeling the car driving towards what I can only guess must be home. I don't care where we're going. Every nerve in my body feels like it's on fire. I briefly glance at Lucien, who's gripping the wheel of the car tightly, a muscle in his jaw twitching slightly. Did I do something wrong? I ask unsteadily, making him wince like he's in pain. You did nothing wrong, love, Lucien replies, eyes fixed on the road. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have bitten you. His scent is clouding the air around us, so thick with desire I can almost taste it. He does want me, I realize. Then why is he being like this? It's hard to focus on anything other than him and how good he smells. That's the venom talking, Selene. It makes you feel good or, more importantly, pliant, supposedly to help us immobilize our prey. It's not real. I frown, Clara Vane's blissful expression flashing before my eyes again. You always smell good, I sigh. Bite or not. Stupor briefly crosses, though he's quick to school his expression. You've never said that to me before, he ends up saying quietly. I thought vampires smelled like death too. He interrupts himself, though I don't much care for what he is about to say. My skin is scorching, and I feel like I'm about to burst with need. Lucien, please. I want biting my lips. I'm not sure what I need. Everything? I guess. His lips on mine, his body pressed against mine, his teeth again. I shift closer to him, my movements languid and uncoordinated. Lucien's grip tightens on the steering wheel, and for a moment, I fear I've pushed him too far. But then he reaches over, his fingers brushing a strand of hair from my face with a tenderness that makes my heart ache. Selene, don't say things like that. His scent is spiking, dangerously, making me shiver all over. Why not? I smile at him. It's working. I can tell you want me to. Lucien lets out a startled laugh. That was never in question, he tells me, speeding his car. But what I want isn't important right now. My wolf is preening. I would too, except the lack of contact is becoming almost painful now, and I'm left panting, gripping onto the edge of my seat. Thankfully, Lucien's car slows as we approach his house, the familiar outlines looking strange and distant through my dazed eyes. Can you walk? Lucien asks me, opening my door to help me out. Of course. I reply with an indignant giggle before stumbling upright into his arms. I didn't do it on purpose, but I'm not sorry for it. When I feel Lucien put one arm under my knees to lift me up in his arms, I immediately bury my nose in his neck, trailing my wrists against the skin to imprint my own scent onto him. I want everyone to know he's mine. In the back of my mind, I realize I should probably try to hide my wrists from him, since they've already fully healed from both our bites, which wouldn't be possible if I were human, but the urge to scent -mark Lucien is too strong. My wolf is practically screaming at me to do it. When I'm done, I begin placing slow, languid kisses against his now perfectly scented neck. Lucien shivers under my touch, a small gasp escaping him when I suck a little on his skin. "You're going to sleep it off," he tells himself in a resolute tone as he carries me up the stairs. "It'll be fine." "Will you stay with me?" I ask, knowing fully there's no way I'm getting into bed with him to sleep. Lucien gives me a knowing look but says nothing as we enter my bedroom. As soon as he puts me down on my bed, I throw my arms around his shoulders and pull him towards me into another kiss. Lucien briefly responds to it before moving away with a groan. "Selene, I really should go." I topple him down on the mattress in one swift movement and climb on top of him, straddling his hips. He's staring at me with a mixture of amusement, concern, and frustration. "But I want to be with you," I confess, sincerity piercing through the pleasant haze in my mind. Lucien's eyes are fully black now, naturally so, I think. "It looks really beautiful. And I want you to bite me again," I add, stretching my neck out to him. His hold tightens around me briefly. "Selene," he sighs, "you're high. You're not yourself." I frown a little at that. Everything does feel slightly hazy, but it honestly feels too good to care. "Please," I ask against Lucien's lips. I hear him gulp slowly. He smells just as aroused and needy with desire as I do. I don't understand why he's not doing anything about it. "Is it because you think you're taking advantage of me?" I ask. "Because I was attracted to you before, you know." Lucien smirks. "I know, darling," he says, sitting up and pulling me flush against him, making me giggle. "But I'd like you to experience our first time together sober." And he wraps his arms around me, pulling me close. "I don't think I'll be able to stop if I bite you again, my Selene. I've missed you. I won't be able to control myself." Confusion slightly pierces through the haze of my mind. "What do you mean, you missed me?" I ask slowly. "You see me every day." I feel Lucien tense against me, but he stays silent. Slowly, he puts his hands on my face, pulling it towards him so he's looking directly into my eyes. "Just pretend I didn't say that. Forget about it," he says, and I nod, having already forgotten what it was I should forget. It feels important, though, and my wolf urges me to hold on to it. But then, Lucien whispers to me to go to sleep, and everything goes black. 6 years ago, the day of the accident. It's not the first time I've ever visited Caleb's old pack. Despite the change in leadership, Asher having recently become Alpha, their headquarters remain unchanged, and as our car journeys deeper into the sprawling countryside, it gradually comes into view, unfolding from the lush greenery like a well-kept secret. The property is expansive, the rolling fields stretching out towards dense woodlands, the borders barely visible from where we park amongst smaller barns and extensions dotting the landscape. The main house stands as an impressive blend of weathered stone and dark wood, each detail meticulously crafted to project warmth and hospitality in a way that seems almost too deliberate. I don't really like coming here. I can't shake the feeling of edges too sharply defined and spaces too perfectly arranged. I look around nervously for Caleb, wondering why he didn't wait for me at home and left on his own. Every greeting Finn and I receive, though cordial, lacks genuine warmth. The air is fresh, filled with the scents of pine and wildflowers, yet beneath these pleasant aromas, there's an underlying sharpness, a hint of something wild and untamed that isn't entirely welcoming. Finn finds Asher, and as soon as they're off to discuss whatever it is they need to discuss, I hear a voice booming from behind me. "Where were you?" Caleb is strolling towards me, expression twisted in a displeased frown. I'm unused to "where was I?" "Where were you? We were supposed to leave together." "Yeah." Caleb interrupts, crossing his arms 2 hours ago. "I couldn't find you. I thought you'd stood me up." He looks genuinely hurt, and I frown. How could he think I'd stand me up? "I told you I was going to train with Ethan until 12, I remind him, remembering the conversation distinctly. But Caleb is looking at me with a dumbfounded expression. "No, you didn't," he says, looking at me straight in the eyes. He adds, with a softer expression, "You're so forgetful, baby. You must have forgotten. You forget things all the time." He's smiling intimately, like we're in on the same joke. He looks happy again. That's what matters. My heart is beating fast in my chest. I guess I am quite forgetful. I concede. When I see he's still looking at me expectantly, Caleb winks at me. "I love you for all your faults, baby. I even like your black dress, even though I know I hate you in black." I blink. I thought he liked it. Had I understood him wrong? I guess so. Anyway, Ethan and I had a great training session this morning, I tell Caleb, changing the subject to something more positive I know will make him happy. I even managed to hit him once. Caleb laughs. Baby, that's just 'cause he let you hit him, he teases, pinching my cheek. I'm a little annoyed though. It's like he doesn't believe I could do it. No, he didn't, I protest. He wouldn't do that. Oh, 'cause he's so perfect. You're amazing, Ethan, who's so much better than me. What, Caleb? What are you talking about? I would appreciate it if you didn't try to put me down all the time, Selene. I know you're insecure, but I'm tired of you taking that out on me and making me feel like shit. My mind is buzzing with retorts and denials, and my heart is pounding in my ears. I don't even know where to begin, faced with the purely shocking enormity of that accusation. How could he think that of me? What gave him that impression? I'm gaping at him like a fish. I'm not trying to put you down, I protest, throat feeling tight under Caleb's angry glare. Oh, spending all morning with one guy and then showing up here with another isn't to piss me off. What is it then? You just don't think about me at all. That's not true. The two most important wolves in our pack, as well, Caleb sneers. Just say it if I'm not enough for you. He turns away from me before I have the chance to reply. You know what, he says, giving me a cold look. I don't feel like hanging out today. I need some time with positive people who genuinely care about my well-minus being. See you at home. And with that he walks off, leaving me alone in this vast field, having nowhere to go. I don't know where to go, what to do. I feel like no matter which step I take, it'll upset Caleb somehow. And so I remain in my spot, perfectly frozen in shock. What is wrong with me that I've upset him so? He's always so happy with me, so loving. Ever since Ethan came back from his last trip, he's been agitated though. Do I really make Caleb feel like I love Ethan more than him? It's completely different though. Ethan's family. Caleb is my lover and my mate. He should have said if he felt threatened by our relationship. Then again, I should have known. We're mated. I should know how he feels all the time. I'm a terrible mate. I must be, otherwise Caleb wouldn't be so mad. He's a loving person. My thoughts are interrupted as I notice a familiar silhouette walking quickly in the distance. It's a girl, slightly older than me, with short light brown hair and hazel eyes that look like Caleb's. Mira. She looks distraught, her scent smelling like fear and aggression, even from where I stand. Worried, I make my way towards her though she doesn't seem to notice, walking decidedly towards a barn that is isolated from the others near the end of the field. Maybe she wants to be alone, I think to myself, debating whether or not to turn back. She's my mate's sister, but that doesn't give me the right to intrude. I'm about to turn around when a familiar voice echoes in the distance, in the direction Mira's heading. It sounds like Finn, and he seems angry. I frown, trailing after Mira again, though this time determined to go and make sure everything is all right with Finn. He seemed angry even before we came here, something about Asher and teaching him better manners, whatever that means. Maybe I should have stayed with him earlier. I was so focused on Caleb, I didn't think Finn would need me. I didn't even think to check in with him. More and more angry words and yelling echo around the field, so much so that Mira doesn't notice me behind her. The closer we get to the barn, the more obvious it is Finn and Asher are arguing, and it seems way past the point of politeness. I begin to run through the field after Mira, a bad feeling in my gut. The argument grows louder, and I quicken my pace, reaching the barn just as Mira does. We both pause at the entrance, hidden in the shadows, peering into the dimly lit interior. Inside, Finn and Asher are locked in a violent confrontation, fists flying and growls piercing the air. They are too engrossed in their fight to notice us watching. What is happening? Why are they fighting like this? Asher lunges, a growl tearing from his throat, but Finn counters, his movements swift and punishing. A well-aimed punch sends Asher staggering back, blood spattering the dusty floor. Each impact is a thunderclap in the confined space, echoing off the wooden walls. Asher wipes blood from his mouth, his eyes burning with defiance. He charges again, desperation lending him strength. They clash, bodies slamming with a force that shakes the nearby tools on the walls. Finn's dominance grows, his attacks more precise, more relentless. Asher's defenses start to crumble under the assault, his response is slower, less coordinated. The fight is tipping irrevocably in Finn's favor. From the shadows I watch, my heart pounding, the raw aggression unfolding before me, sparking a primal alertness. Beside me, Mira trembles, her eyes fixed on her pack's alpha being beaten down. Her distress morphs into a fierce, protective rage. and her body begins to shift uncontrollably. The transformation is swift, a testament to her raw, unchecked emotions. She's almost fully turned, her from large and imposing, poised to leap into the fray. My own heart skips a beat. There's no mistaking her intentions. She's going to attack Finn. In fact, she's preparing to pounce right this second, and he can't see it, doesn't react to my screams, too focused on punching Asher. She's going to hit from behind. Her scent feels violent and afraid, filled with primal desperation to protect her alpha. I need to protect mine too. The next thing I know, I'm in my wolf form, plunging towards Mira, bearing my fangs. My wolf wants blood, and seconds later, its taste erupts onto my tongue as Mira's piercing howl fills the air. Present day. Humiliation doesn't strike me immediately as I open my eyes, which makes it all the more terrible when everything does come back to me in waves. I wake up slowly to the sound of the house staff moving about efficiently outside my bedroom, though speaking lowly between themselves with an undercurrent of tension that briefly makes me wonder what's going on. Briefly, because as I take in my surroundings, namely, that I'm still fully dressed in yesterday's clothes, I suddenly remember everything that took place the night before visiting Lucien's other house, his kidnapping, the club, Lucien's display of power, him biting me. I muffle a mortified scream inside my pillow, gutted by the most intense sense of shame I've ever felt in my life. What was I thinking, throwing myself at Lucien like that? I remember telling him, in great detail, how much I wanted him, asking him to do things to me, while he remained stoic and distant the entire time, politely declining my advances like I was nothing more than some ice cream again. I don't ever want to see him again. I don't think I can manage to look at him in the eye. What must he think of me? He has a girlfriend, one he visits at night and promises to run away with. I've seen them together and I still threw myself at him shamelessly, despite knowing that. The worst is that this probably happens to him all the time with every girl he bites. But, unlike these other girls, I'm supposed to be looking after him, not harassing him. I groan. He did say this was due to the effect of the venom-lacing vampire bites. I'd never heard of such a thing, though it does make sense now why vampires would train their brides from birth, probably so they'd be less affected by the effect of the venom. It seems terribly inconvenient if that's going to happen every time they're bitten. And it's true that Lucien knows I'm not used to it, so he hopefully won't be mad at me, but still, I did reveal that I've been attracted to him since before the bite, which, sadly, is the truth. And oh my god, I sent marked him, like he belongs to me or something, despite being mated to someone else. I'm the worst. I hate myself. Miss Selene, Eleanor Voss's stern voice echoes behind my door, and before I've had the chance to say anything, she bursts into the room. Oh good. You're awake, she observes, sending me a judgmental look that makes me want to crawl back under my covers. I know she probably doesn't, but for a moment, it looks like she knows what I've done and is trying to punish me with the sheer disdain of her glare. What are you still doing in bed at this hour? She chastises. Never mind. I'll be sending someone over to help you get ready. Master Draven is here, and he wishes to see you. It takes me a minute to realize she's probably not talking about Lucien, who resides here with me, but his grandfather. My heart sinks. Did Lucien tell him what happened and how I'd utterly failed at protecting him before sexually harassing him? He's totally going to fire me, isn't he? Miss Selene? Eleanor asks, pursing her lips. Oh, right, sorry. I'll head to the shower, I reply sheepishly. I hope I'll see Lucien one last time before I go, I realize while washing my hair, preferably from far away so he doesn't see me. But still, I'd like to imprint one last, clear memory of him in my mind before he banishes me from his life. Maybe he'll slightly smell like me still. The thought has my heart pounding with shameful anticipation. Once a stylist lets me know what I should wear and a makeup artist has efficiently dealt with my face, despite me telling them not to bother because I'm probably about to be kicked out of the house, I'm escorted into the small reception area where I'd met Lucien and in which Victor Draven is patiently waiting for me, fact for which I know Eleanor will have my head, should Victor not deal with it first. I gulp as I take in his regal form, looking outside the window as I slowly push the door open. Sir, I begin nervously, ready to apologize for disappointing him. Can I just say, turning around to face me, Draven's mouth stretches into a wide, pleased smile. There she is, the lady of the hour, he exclaims with even more enthusiasm than he usually displays. I freeze in my step, unsure how to respond. Luckily, Draven doesn't keep me guessing and continues, placing his hands on my shoulder. I believe congratulations are in order, he exclaims, grinning at me excitedly. Lucien told me what happened last night. A memory of me kissing his grandson's neck against his will erupts into my mind, and I feel my cheeks reddening in response. He dead? I squeak. Yes. How you managed to track him down, extract him from the club he'd been taken to safely, and even kindly give him some of your blood to help him recover from the poison he'd been administered. Draven gives me a warm, genuine smile. I can't thank you enough, my dear. Not only did you protect Lucien effectively, but you also figured out who'd been behind these attacks, it seems. I frown. Vincent Moretti? Draven adds. Lucien mentioned you'd run into him. I remember the club owner taking me down to see Lucien, acting like he couldn't see him. Was he really the one behind the kidnapping? But then, why lead me straight to Lucien? Because he was hoping his men would stop me from getting to him, and get rid of me more effectively in the process. That seems far minus fetched. I did run into him, but I remember how he'd look at me when I kept pointing out that Lucien was right there, like I was crazy, like he sincerely couldn't see him sitting before his very eyes. But what? Draven asks in a patient, encouraging tone. Could I be wrong? I'm probably wrong. It looked like the man attacking me worked for Vincent Moretti, but why pretend he couldn't see Lucien now? It doesn't make any sense. You know, we've been allies for years, him and I. I can't believe I'd ever sponsored him into the position of power he occupied, all to be betrayed by him like this, harming my own grandson and heir. You can't trust anybody these days, don't you think? Draven comments, shaking his head in regret. I guess not, I reply weakly. Something not right sits in my stomach. Anyway, I can't thank you enough for fulfilling your mission, my dear. Now that this has been dealt with, I'll be able to focus on reining in the vampires to respect the Accords again, as promised. And I'd love to thank your Alpha in person for all the work you've done. Oh, that won't be necessary, I protest weakly. I can't imagine how that interaction would go. The less Ethan knows about my involvement with the vampires, the better. Well, maybe a nice bonus then. You absolutely must keep all the clothes and jewelry you acquired while working with us. And if there's anything else you'd like before you go. Go? I ask, mine going blank. Well, surely you'll be eager to go back to your family now that your job is over, Draven insists happily. Though, perhaps you'll consider paying Lucien a visit before you leave us, bid him farewell. He's grown quite fond of you, I can tell. I nod, my throat feeling tight. Thank you, Mr. Draven, I tell the man, turning around to exit the room, head hung low. This went better than I thought. Draven didn't get mad at me, but then again, it doesn't matter because, as I'd expected, I do have to leave. I won't be staying with Lucien anymore, which is good because I don't know how I can stand to be in the same room as him after what I've done. But then again, that means I won't get to see him smile or hear him make stupid, flirty jokes or watch him pretend like he doesn't care about anything, knowing fully well it isn't true. And who's going to make sure he doesn't get poison again if I go? Clara Vane. I grind my teeth. I mean, even if Vincent Moretti was the one behind all the attacks, like Draven seems to believe, someone else could very well attack Lucien. May you ask Master Lucien if he has a moment for me? I ask Eleanor, heart beating furiously in my chest. She agrees to my request, though not before sending me a judgmental look that indicates that, if it were up to her, Lucien would forget about my entire existence altogether. However, she's quick to let me know he'll be seeing me now, and so, a minute later, I nervously knock on his bedroom door. These swirling thoughts dampening my humiliation at the prospect of seeing him again. That quickly evaporates when I'm faced with his impenetrable blue gaze upon entering. He's lounging in a chair, a book in hand, looking as nonchalant as ever. I can't believe I was kissing this man not even 20-4 hours before. Did I imagine the entire thing? Someone this beautiful can't actually be kissing me back, right? Then again, he did pull away, so, Selene, Lucien says, impassive. Oh, yes. Well, I have come to say goodbye, I blurt out, hoping the wavering in my voice isn't audible. Goodbye. Lucien repeats, though he doesn't let anything else show, like, say, curiosity or disappointment. Yes, your grandfather seems to think your life is no longer in danger, and so, I bite my lip, lowering my gaze. There's no need for me to stay here since you're safe. You don't need me anymore, right? I add, heart beating furiously. When Lucien doesn't reply immediately, I bravely raise my eyes towards him, hoping for some sort of sign that maybe, just maybe, he's sorry about seeing me go. Right, he says, nodding slowly instead. Well, thank you then, for your services. The worst is that he isn't even saying this unkindly. He's not trying to be mean. I can tell. I know how it feels when someone is being mean. Lucien is simply being indifferent as he should, since I'm only an employee. My pleasure, I reply, blushing furiously at my own words. Why did I say the word pleasure in front of him? Oh my God. Goodbye, I squeak, practically running out of the room. Once I'm safely back inside mine, I sink to the floor and bury my face into my hands. This is it time to go home, back to the inextricable situation I was in before coming here, hoping to escape, but which is still waiting for me now that this brief break is over. And the worst is that I can't even bring myself to care for it right now. All I can think about is that I'll never see Lucien again, and I don't understand why it upsets me so. But my eyes fall onto the copy of the book Lucien had lent me a week before, The Time Traveler's Wife. Surely, I should give it back to him before I go. I mean, it belongs to him. I can't very well take it with me. Or maybe I could ask him if he minds if I keep it for now and return it to him later. Like this, I'll be seeing him again, at least one last time before I die, and that would be enough, right? I mean, I'd be lucky to be allowed in his presence once more. I grab the book and open my bedroom door, ready to head back to Lucien, but stop dead in my tracks when I almost run straight into him, standing outside my bedroom, fist raised like he'd been about to knock. Oh, I say dumbly as our eyes meet. You're here. I'm aware it must be painfully obvious that I've been crying, yet I hurry up and dry my tears anyway, like that will somehow prevent Lucien from noticing them. Yes, he says, scratching his throat. Well, it occurred to me that, like I've mentioned, there are tons of people out there who still want to kill me. Surely tons, I ask, stepping back to let Lucien into my room. At least he declares seriously, closing my door behind him. I'm actually quite insufferable when you think about it. Who wouldn't want me dead? His eyes search my expression, just as much as mine search his. Right, I tell him with a small nod. That can't be good. Lucien wades closer towards me, close enough so that I can feel the rise and fall of his chest against my own. Definitely not, he says, gaze lowering towards my lips. I'd feel much better if someone could ensure my well-minus being. Someone with experience. I have experience, I reply stupidly, angling my head towards him. Lucien's hands clasp against my lower back, reeling me in until our heads are bent together, so close that I can feel his exhale on my lips. My thoughts exactly, he replies, closing the gap. Thank you for listening. If this story touched your heart, give it a like and subscribe for more beautiful tales. Tap the next thumbnail to continue your journey.